When great souls like Dr. Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, and Neil Donald Walsh hit plateaus in their business or best-selling missions, they hired her to bring them to the next level and make sure their message got heard. Stay with me. We have a very special guest tonight to discuss the 5 things we learned from Bob Proctor. This is the Legacy episode. Stay tuned. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leadership Hacks episode 119, where we explore powerful insights to elevate your career journey and your leadership journey. I'm your host, Dr. Nabila Diab, and today we have an incredibly special episode. We're celebrating the legacy of the remarkable Bob Proctor, who inspired so many of us to reach new heights in life and in leadership. Joining me today is none other than Peggy McColl, New York Times bestseller. Let me bring her first of all on a stage. Then, where do I start? I can't say enough about this lady. Peggy, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Let me tell you a few words about Peggy McColl. Where do I start? New York Times best-selling author, 24, I just heard it's 24, 23, 24 books, elevating entrepreneurs, helping them scale their business with the power of books, transforming minds for success. Peggy is a seasoned veteran in changing lives. She helped a lot of people, including myself, to develop the blueprint and used across the word or the industry of the personal development. I'll tell you more about Peggy and her systems and platforms, so as she helps develop voices through books, courses. Where do I start? Many courses where she can help the last, where she says on her LinkedIn page, finally the author marathon. So there you have a course by Peggy McColl, where she can help you, develop your story or birth your story or your book. Peggy, you and I know each other. I think we met in person 2017 in Toronto, Canada, if I remember well, which was I can't. And then we were in a training, a 5-day training, I think, with Bob Proctor. And I remember it was such a special time. And it goes without saying that the Bob Proctor legacy connected us. Bob changed my life, and I guess he's changed yours. Myself, university professor, teacher, never thought I would change my life into anything else other than be in the lecture hall, teach, grade, what. And now my life has changed in ways and means I've never thought possible. At that time, where I was still with Bob, I was still in a 9 to 5 job, but then I saw myself quickly, scale up and optimize my career, and catapulting my career 5 times. Multiplying my income by 10, purchasing my beach home, sending my girl to study in Paris. It there is no way the teacher that was in me could ever think possible that life could take such a drastic turn just because you met one person, Bob Proctor. And I guess you have a similar story on how Bob changed your life. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, of course. Thank you. And I really appreciate you. And I love that you've stepped up and you're sharing with the world and helping other people elevate their life as well. I think it's really a valuable thing that you're doing. And of course, being rewarded is part of it. Yeah, I met Bob Proctor in January 1979. And at the time, I was pretty miserable. And, his teachings were new, all new ideas, new concepts. It wasn't anything that I was familiar with. But what it did was it opened my mind, and I decided to step into a greater and grander version of what was possible for me in my life. And I would say the biggest benefit that I've experienced and continue to experience from studying with Bob Proctor and then becoming good friends with him is not so much for what I've accomplished or what I have, it's for who I've become and how I feel about life, how I feel about myself. And I don't think there's any kind of price you can put on that. What is it worth to you to feel better? What is it worth to you to get up every day and just feel like you're so grateful for your life and so blessed to be alive and to be surrounded by love and amazing people in your life and to do work that is so deeply meaningful? So, yes, I've accomplished a lot of things and I can point to physical things too. But for me, I would say the greatest benefit that I've accomplished from studying with Bob and then being up close and personal with him is just the evolution of bringing out this greater and grander version of who I am, which I continue to and will continue to forever and ever and ever, because I find that life can get so much better. I mean, you think you have a great life now, it truly can get better, but it is a matter of choice. And so this is one of the great lessons I learned from Bob, is that it's up to you. Like, if you really want your life to change, you've got to make the investment of time, make the investment of energy, and make the investment of money as well, because the return is multiplied.
I love it. I love it. And you are so right. I mean, we talk and sometimes we tend to focus too much on the outcome, on the accomplishment, on what is it that we got. And
Right.
actually, those accomplishments or what you get, like actually, or the natural byproduct of you becoming, of you developing, of you growing into that better version of you. Talking about that, Peggy, uh, and since we have a large audience of amazing ladies and gentlemen who are so into growing their career, I mean, growing the different areas of their life, but career tends to be on their mind at this point in time. And it's like, what do I do next? How do I get into that next version of myself? So, Bob often spoke about the power of having a clear vision. How
Mm.
important is a vision in setting and achieving leadership goals, career goals? And what can leaders do to strengthen that vision?
Yeah, I think that really when we think about creating a vision for our life, it's like, how do you see your life? What would you love it to be? What would you love it to represent? What would your legacy be? And those kinds of things. And I find that when you really establish what that is, then making decisions becomes so much easier. Plus, it invites someone to live from their purpose. Many, many years ago, I decided that my purpose on this planet, of who I am and why I'm here. And by the way, this is something we all get to choose. You can choose it. And you can think of it as, you're trying on shoes. You go to a store, you're trying some shoes. Some feel good, some feel comfortable, some feel like, oh no, this hurts too much. It doesn't feel comfortable. There's no way I could walk in these things. Similar thing to when you're creating the vision for your life too. It's like, what feels good to you? That's really, really important. And so I decided mine is to make a positive and beneficial contribution to the lives of hundreds of millions of people. And all my decisions, everything I do, the people that I'm blessed to work with, it all comes down to, is this in alignment with who I am? Is this alignment with my purpose, with how I see myself in this world? And if so, great, easy decision. It's like before we started this call, you were talking about some of my clients that I've been blessed to serve, like Wayne Dyer, Mariam Williamson, Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, Debbie Ford, Bob Proctor, Gay Hendricks, Greg Braden. I mean, we could sit here all day long and rhyme off names that are very familiar to the world, but also names that maybe aren't so familiar, but yet went on to do great things and accomplish great things. And so, yes, I'm doing my own work, and I'm releasing and working on my 24th book right now. I'm working on my doctorate as well right now. So I will continue to do things that are going to bring out greater value out of Peggy McColl to this world. But also what I love is helping those like you who are positive difference makers, those that really, really want to make a difference in the world, because we all have that opportunity, every single one of us. And when we're doing good in the world, when we're bringing great value in the world, then great value comes back to you. So I think it's essential. It doesn't mean that you have to have it all figured out before you start. And like, I incorporated my company, and it wasn't until a few years later that I really understood what my vision was. But that's okay. I had an idea, a general idea. So I moved in that direction. And then as you gather more information, the clarity comes. And so, yeah, I really think it's important for people to be easy on themselves. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't really have a vision right now, just decide, okay, I'm going to create one. And don't be upset about it. Be grateful for it. In fact, one of the best ways that you accomplish things is by being grateful for it in advance. It's like when I decided to write my first fiction book. It's called Savvy Wisdom. It's right behind me on the bookshelf. And this is really based on, it's a fiction book, but it's based on me meeting Bob Proctor. So there's a young girl that was created by the name of Sophie who meets a gentleman by the name of Savvy, and he guides her through her life to make extremely positive change. And so when I decided to write that, I wrote a trilogy. In fact, it's being made into a movie now. And I just made a decision. Okay, well, what do I need to believe in order for this to go well? Well, I need to believe that it was easy. I need to believe that it was fun. I need to believe that I did it, that I am creative, that I wrote a great book. And all of that is just creation that we have the ability to manifest with our mind. And that's this great tool that we've all been given. So if you have a conscious thinking mind, then you absolutely have an ability to create a wonderful vision and then live it.
I love it. I love it. And, and I know you talked about this, and I know exactly, but we can't repeat it enough that before you can get it in your physical reality, there is work that needs to be done at the level of your mental faculty, which
Right.
means like creating or opening or creating a space for that thing to happen, which is basically using your imagination, as Bob said. Use your imagination to breathe life into what is it that you want to do, what is it that you want to impact people with, in your corporation, in your workplace, in wherever you are. Before you think about how is this going to impact your life, or how is this going to impact your family, or how is this going, what's the return that's going to come, because it's going to come for a fact. But first of all, it's about creating that space to allow the idea to develop in your mind, and give it as much detail as possible, in such a way as it becomes almost real in your mind
Right.
before you can start. So this concept, if you can just reframe it, or take it from here, Peggy, to explain it, that it's first in our head and
Right.
then in our reality, and not the other way around.
So true. So true. You're absolutely right. I mean, that is how creation is. It starts in our mind. But what's interesting is as you're sharing that, and I love what you're sharing, is that it's sometimes messy. I think some people approach success and they think, okay, well, this is just going to be all easy and smooth and harmonious. And if they're not getting the clarity, or things aren't happening the way they would love it to be, they give up. Right. And I know we're going to be talking about persistence and being resilient as well. But the truth is that, our results, it's like when you were talking earlier, when we were doing the introduction about what we can create and what's potential in our life. And I was talking about the impact of how we feel and the value of that. I mean, the truth is that we can look at results and then we know what that person is like. Remember Bob used to have the stick man concept with the giant R beside it. And he would say, most people keep looking at the results and expecting it to change, and it never changes, right? Because they're simply unaware. They're ignorant, meaning not knowing. And so the truth is that when you want to have something, and I think this is a very simple understanding of it, when you have to have something, you must first be something. And so when you think about, well, what would I love to have or do or be or experience in my life? And let's say an entrepreneur, a career, a wonderful, successful career. Well, what does that person need to be like? How would they show up every day? What would their disciplines be like? What would their belief system be? And if you're looking to create something that you've never had before, then it's likely means that you need to create the new mind that will be a match for that, which means that we have to gather more information, impress it into our mind through repetition until it becomes natural. One of the great teachers that both Bob Proctor and I studied was Neville Goddard. And he wrote a book called The Power of Awareness, which is one of my favorite books. And in chapter 24, which is a chapter called Failure, he says the reason why people don't accomplish that which they desire is because they don't feel it naturally. I mean, that's the reason, right, for failure. So if you think about this, for somebody who is in a career and perhaps they're struggling, to feel it naturally and just relax in the knowing that, my career is already a big success, that can sometimes be a giant leap, right? To go from, a state of uncertainty, being insecure, lack of confidence, to a place of, yeah, it's already done and I'm enjoying it and I'm thrilled with the success that I'm experiencing it. But is it possible to go from there to there, like with your mind, with a thought? Yeah, absolutely. It's possible to do that. But when it becomes natural is when you're doing this with regularity, where this becomes your way of being, your daily mode of conduct, that's how you're showing up every day as that person. It's like you're always dressed beautifully, your hair's done, you look professional, and that gives off an impression, right? An impression of you. And you don't just do it once, you're doing it over and over again. It is important. It's important for two reasons. One, it's important for you because you're going to feel better when you're taking care of yourself. But it's also important because of the role that you're portraying in the world. People look at you and they're judging you before you even open your mouth. And if they're thinking of, I may want to work with this person, they're not only listening to the words that you're saying, they're looking at your energy, they're sensing your energy, they're getting a really good feel for whether you are that person. But how does anyone project a feeling? Through emotion, right? It's an expression. It's a vibratory rate that we're all at. And when we're feeling as if we're already the success, when we're feeling as if we're already earning that kind of money, when we're feeling as if our business is where we desire it to be, it's like you're expressing it. It's like the energy is coming out of your pores. And what that does is it attracts back. Like attracts like. So when you're feeling successful, you will attract things into your life that represent success. But when you understand the process, when you understand the laws and how they really work, and we're all governed by the laws, the natural laws of the universe, and when you really understand them, then as the quote goes, and you've probably heard this from Bob, you wait as the one who understands. And when you're waiting as the one who understands, that means that you know that there is a period of gestation. There's a period of time that's going to elapse before this is going to manifest into physical form. However, when you're feeling as if it's already done, this is your result. You have already accomplished this, and you're showing up that way every day. You're feeling grateful. You're feeling energized. You're smiling. Then you will produce the result. Right? You will attract that into your life. Remember how Bob used to say, if you can hold it in your mind, you'll hold it in your hand. But it's about holding it, right? And we use the mental faculty called the will. Holding it means it's repetitive. This is not something you do once in a while. You're doing it every single day. It has become your dominant way of being. That's what you want to do. So you can create. Now, like I'm really big time into tools. I use tools. So you create like an identity of yourself or concept of yourself, of who you are as a successful person. And then you create, we're talking about vision, but then you create the vision of what does that look like? What am I seeing in my life? Like one of the tools that I started using back in the middle of the 1990s was something that I created called the Power Life Script. And Bob
Mm.
loved that idea. He wrote about it. He talked about my Power Life Script process. I have an app on the iPhone. Now it's free, Power Life Script. It's something that I offer on my website. It is the number one most powerful technique I've ever used to change my life and to change my results. And the reason is because of what I just said. You're literally reprogramming your mind, right? And it invites you to step into that greater version. Like you may have a day when you wake up in the morning and you're not feeling so energetic, or maybe not feeling great. Maybe you had bad dreams, or you ate too much sugar before you went to bed, who knows, whatever reason. And you wake up and you're kind of dragging your butt. And yet I'll listen to my Power Life Script, which is one of the first things I do every morning after meditating. And it's just like, boom, it's like a booster, right? Remember Bob used to say, if I can put this in a syringe and stick it in your behind, I would do it. You know, it's kind of like that boost. It gives you that boost. And so these are the ways to build the belief system within you, to build the identity of the person that has already succeeded. And through repetition of, you know, writing, recording, and listening to your Power Life Script every day, you reinforce it until it becomes natural for you.
Yeah, I love it. And, underline, highlight in red 5 times, 5 lines, as Bob says. It's about the feeling, and of course Neville
Right?
Goddard highlights this as well. The feeling
Sure.
is everything. It's
It is.
feeling your way into what you want. It's not about just creating something and repeating it like automatically, robotically, or anything. It's about injecting the feeling that it has already happened. You feel, you are thankful, you're grateful that it has already happened. And then that gives the feeling that, oh, this is normal, I already have this. And when it actually happens, it's actually very, very normal. You have people here, Umama saying hello, Umaima, hello, Dr. Nabila, always inspiring. Rina says, Amira says good evening. So everybody is cheerleading you and saying hi, Peggy. This is so, so powerful, Peggy. And now, pretty much connected to this is the idea of, like, when on our way towards, that next version of ourselves, that next, let's say, self-image, or image of ourselves that we are striving to achieve, or to embody. And let's talk about our mindset. Most of the time, we notice people like keep so attached to the outcome that they forget how to be open-minded and to keep a growth oriented mindset. Bob
Right.
was a huge advocate for developing a growth oriented mindset and keeping curious. I remember he always says, I prefer to talk and have young people around me. I don't want to be surrounded by old people. He wants to keep his mind fresh and young and growing and growth oriented. Why is this important, Peggy?
Yeah, well, it's very important because we're evolving beings, right? And the truth is, things can get better. But the truth is also, they're either getting better or they're getting worse. So if you're not working on growth, then they're likely getting worse. You know, you said something earlier, and I really think it's important to understand. I'm working on my 24th book right now. It's called The Moment of Creation. And it's really highlighting this moment of now, this moment of right now, this very moment that we have right now. And we're going to have another one of those in 5 minutes. We're going to have another one in 10 minutes, right? And embracing the desires as if they're already here. So I often will, when I'm working with my clients, say to them, it's not coming. If you think it's coming, that means it's not here now, right?
Mm.
It is already here. And it's not something that you're striving for. I know you use the word striving, and I understand what you're saying. And I know you get this stuff very well. You're an example of it. And the truth is that we don't strive, or it's not coming, or we're not on our way. It's already here. You have to embrace all of these understandings of your success. So, everyone that's watching this right now, I want you to think of something that you would absolutely love to have or to do or to create in your life. Now, you don't have to know how. This is the most valuable lesson I ever learned from Bob Proctor. You do not have to know how. And it's so important that you understand that part. So, what would you really love? What would you love? Whether it's money, like just thinking, I love an injection of cash, right into my bank account, or I would love, whatever it happens to be. So choose that thing, the one thing that you'd absolutely love. I know sometimes people are looking to attract their soulmate. They're looking to purchase their dream home, maybe like you mentioned earlier, sending your daughters to Paris, to go to school or whatever it is, just name it, right? Just decide what is it that you would absolutely love. And then when you decide what that is, and you've got that in your mind, then ask yourself this: what does it really feel like now that that is done? What does that really feel like now that that's done? Oh my goodness. And this is where people go into their imagination and they'll start to see things. And whenever I'm working with my clients or a group of people or whatever, when I mention that to them, what I see as their response in the room are smiles. They begin to smile. And they're smiling because they have gone to that place. You know how Bob used to say, there is a place, right? There is a place. This is what we call the fourth dimension. And the fourth dimension is out there. It's the place of possibilities. And we all have it. We all have access to this place of possibilities. So when you go to that place of possibilities and you decide, I'm going to bring it into my current reality by imagining that it is here, right now. And then just honoring how that feels. It's important to relax in the feeling. Relax in the knowing. Relax in the knowing that it's already done. You know how Bob often would say, write out your goal statement. I'm so happy and so grateful. And then you finish off the statement. Why? Because happy, gratitude are good emotions. They're positive emotions that will draw good to you. You feel good, you attract good. That's the way it works, right? And so my goal statements, I write them like this: I am relaxed in the knowing that this is already done. I'm relaxed in the knowing that this is already done. Now, how you write your goal statement, whether it's I'm so happy and grateful. Now, you could start it out this way: I'm so happy and so grateful because I am relaxed in the knowing. You could certainly expand it that way. But think about how that feels, being relaxed. What are most people doing, Nabilia? They're stressed, right? Like, oh, I really want it, but I can't have it. Like they're not in alignment with what it is that they desire. Or they think, oh, I really wish I could have that. Well, wish is not the same as accepting it. You want to accept it into your life now. In fact, one of the things, I'll give a little sneak peek. One of the things that I'm writing about in my new book, The Moment of Creation, it'll be released in 2025, is something called breath anchors. Now, think about this. You're breathing now, right? We're all breathing, and we're breathing unconsciously. We're not even thinking about it. We're not thinking, oh my goodness, will I have a breath in 5 minutes? You're going to have a breath in 5 minutes. And so breathing anchoring, what that is it's giving a focused attention to noticing what your breathing is or how you're breathing. But as you breathe in, accept the good. And as you breathe out, give gratitude for it. So there's no bad, in with the good, out with the bad, none of that, because we're not giving any attention to the bad. We're only giving attention to what we desire and what now is in consciousness, because that's where creation starts, in consciousness. So these are some suggestions for everyone that's listening, for maybe rewriting your statements, or perhaps really wanting to be in that moment of creation, in that moment right now, or you're embracing and you're accepting all your good into your life, and just choosing to do that. Because, we're going to get off this call and everyone's going to go back to doing whatever it is that they're doing because we're so habitual in our way. So there's just a quick suggestion for everyone.
That is an absolutely amazing suggestion, which is like a different way of looking at things by incorporating and introducing the concept of, in wanting your goal, you also want to be relaxed in wanting it, and in the knowing, in the certitude that this is going to happen. Like I'm having a call now with Peggy McColl. Now, Peggy talking about goals, and a lot of times in the corporate and the hard workplace places, and so we talk about the SMART goals, and the SMART, the A for achievable, like you're gonna need to look at something that, and every day I meet women who say, yeah, I have this goal, but it's boring, and I have this goal and I don't know, it doesn't excite me. So this brings me to a concept that you talked about a little earlier, which I want to bring back to the discussion, and which is how do we choose goals? So most of the time, what I notice is that if your goal is not exciting you, as Bob says, then it's not good enough for you. In Arabic, we have something very similar to what Bob says, but it's from the Quran, and it says, "لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها," meaning God will never put in your heart a desire or a goal that is not already out there for you, or that is not conceptually there, as you said earlier on, in the fourth dimension, ready for you. So one way of looking at your goals is to look for goals that actually excite you. They are so big, they are, Bob calls them C-type goals. They are so big, and they scare you and they excite you at the same time. You have absolutely no idea how they are going to happen, but you still want them. And it's that mix of being scared and excited that's going to propel you into starting. Or of course, after you answer the question, the two questions, actually the one question, am I able and am I willing? Am I able, meaning God has created us equal. We are able, like mentally, we have all the mental faculties, everything that is needed to create anything that the Elon Musk and the Warren Buffett and Wrights and the Fords and all of these, we have the same mind. The only question that you have to ask when tackling a goal is, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to be courageous enough and brave enough to take that first baby steps towards my goal? So it's, what is it you want? Make it big and beautiful. And why do you want it? The how, as Bob says, is none of your business.
Yeah.
Can
So,
you speak? Yeah,
can I like expand on that? Is that what you would like?
sure, please. Yeah.
Okay, great, great. So many things. I'm just writing down notes here as you're sharing that. The first thing I want to say is that if you're in a state of wanting a goal, then you're not accepting it, and it's not going to help build the faith or the belief within you that you have it. You have to accept it and know that it's already yours. That's why goal statements are written as if they're already done, right? It's already done. It's already done. But where it's done is in consciousness. Now, this is where you'll hear statements like, sometimes success defies logic. That's an example, right? What do you mean I have to feel as if it's here when there's no evidence of it in sight? Like, that just seems ridiculous. And maybe to some it is, but that's the way it works. It's absolutely the way it works. It's like the idea and the feeling will always precede the result. And so, we get to choose whatever it is that we want. But if you really understand that you don't have to know how, and you won't likely know how, you're going to accomplish it. You just have to push those paradigms aside for a time being while you're asking yourself, what would I really love? What would I love to have? What would I love to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to accomplish? And you can do it. I mean, anybody can do it. You got to keep going. But you touched on something a moment ago, and I think it's very, very important that people understand this as well. And you said about paying the price. Paying the price. I remember years ago hearing that idea, that concept of you have to pay the price, or Bob would talk about you're trading your life for it, and things like that. What does that really mean? It does not mean that you're going to have to give up a body part or something that's, really important to you. What it means is that there's going to be work involved. There's going to be effort. Like, the only reason why you have experienced the success that you have, Nabila, is because of the work that you've put into this, right? The investment of time, the energy, you continue to do it, you continue to work, you continue to apply. That's putting in the work, right? Same thing for me. I started studying in January 1979, and here we are, November 2024, like 46 years later. and I'm still studying. I'm working on my doctorate right now. There's a lot of work involved, and but I love it. I think it's really important to be in love. You want to be in love with your goal. You want to have it be a magnificent obsession. Remember, Bob used to talk about that as well. And understand that, I think what really is helpful for people is when they do have the depth of understanding. Like, in all thy getting, get understanding was the Solomon quote, meaning that when you understand you, and you understand how when you work in harmony with the universe and that you can accomplish a goal, whether it's big or small. And you did mention the word big, and I was thinking, well, it's neither big nor small, only thinking makes it so. Right? Remember how Bob
Mhm.
used to give the example, we'd be in the ballroom and he'd say, how many of you think this ballroom is big? And, some people would say, yeah, it's big. Well, relative to the washroom, yeah, it's big. But relative to a football stadium, it's small. And so it's all comes down to relativity. And this is the thing that I find with people too, is that when they're thinking of their goals, they may go for a bigger goal or a jump or some kind of a leap of some sort. But the truth is, and this comes from a quote by Napoleon Hill from Think and Grow Rich. And I want everyone to really listen to this and understand what it means. There is no more effort required to aim high in life, to demand prosperity and abundance, than is required to accept misery and poverty. Isn't that interesting? No
Yeah.
more effort, right? So you want to attract, a 10,000, let's say $10,000. I'll use that as an example. Well, the same effort would be used to attract a million or 10 million or a billion. It's the same effort, which means you, of free will, have the ability to choose what you want, and then you accept it into your life, understanding you don't have to know how. And yeah, you'll feel uncomfortable at first. At first, you will. But remember what I said about what Neville Goddard said about naturalness. When you feel it naturally, now to feel it naturally is the progression, right? That's the progression of time. That's you doing the work every day, focused on this is already done. This is in my life. I'm embracing it. I'm accepting it. I'm worthy of it. I love it. I appreciate it. And relaxing and knowing that it's already done until you feel that point of just this is the way it is. It's like when people live in a particular type of home or the kind of lifestyle that they live, there's almost like an expectation. They expect to drive quality vehicles. They expect to live in a nice home. They expect when they travel to be sitting in the front of the plane in the back of the car, right? Like there's an expectation. That was one of Bob's mantras. I'm in the front of the plane and back of the car, front of the plane, back of the car, right? Until it becomes natural. And then Bob reached a point in his career where he was flying in a private jet. And I flew with him several times in the
Mhm.
private jet. And
Right.
that was something that, that was a goal for a long time, a long time. And the reason why, fewer people actually do it is because they're not willing to do the work. They're not really willing to stick at it. And the first, sight of, a block or whatever, they're running in the opposite direction, right? And you're going to have challenges. You're going to have obstacles. It's just part of the life experience that we have. But when you're strong in mind, when you've really been doing the work, you're going to find you're going to get through those experiences with greater ease, much greater ease. You'll be able to go over them, under them, around them, through them, whatever you need to do to persist until
Yeah.
you succeed.
I love it. Talking about challenges, let me read a few comments here. Rina, who is a TIR student, says a great session. She's enjoying it. Umayma says, I love how you put it, Dr. Nabil. I really needed this session. If I'm willing, then I'm able. If God placed a desire in my heart, a goal,
Mm.
then we can achieve it. Good, go, Umayma. It was all meant for you. Now, talking about challenges, Peggy, and we do meet challenges like when we are after a big goal. Things are going to come up, challenges are going to come up, that little voice is going to come back and sneaks its way into our head. Who do you think you are? Do you think you really need this, Nabila? Why do you need the aggravation? Why do you need this? You are already good where you are. Why would you want the next level up? What is this next level up? And all kinds of excuses and all kinds of scenarios for why I shouldn't go after my goal. That's where, if for you to be able to move to that next level up in your leadership or you in your career, basically you are going for a level that you cannot see, that nobody can support you in doing because it's so big. There are even the close people around you, they will try to persuade you to be logical. And that's where you actually need an accountability partner, somebody who is going to support you in the process, because we can easily fall in self-sabotage or in
Mhm.
taking a u-turn and going back to the comfort zone, as Bob says.
Totally.
Talk a little bit about the importance of accountability, of having
Oh,
somebody,
yes.
a mentor, a coach, a friend, to walk with us in this process of
Totally.
creation.
Oh my, absolutely. Bob Proctor said this. He said, accountability is like an insurance policy for success. Like an insurance
True.
policy for success. Absolutely true. He wrote about it in one of his books called "It's Not About the Money,"
It's
and
not about the
he
money,
it's
correct?
not about the money. He talked about that. Like you will produce far better results. The other thing that it does, like by having a mentor or teacher or guide or accountability partner, is that it condenses time. It's the speeding up of the process of the accomplishment as well. That's one of the things. Like if somebody has been through incredible challenges and they can talk to, like when I think about the challenges that I've been through, from being suicidal to being raised in such an abusive environment, making a decision to start my own business, incorporate a company when my father was a janitor, my mother worked in a grocery store. I mean, didn't have the entrepreneurial parents to say go for it, and same thing with formal education. I barely made it through high school. Yes, I am working on my doctorate now, but I never really put attention on education. And even when I remember mentioning to my parents that I had considered going to college, they're like, "What for?" Like there was nobody in our family had ever gone to college, and then just 3 years ago, getting diagnosed with quite a serious stage 4 metastasized cancer. And I don't even know if you knew that, Nabila. I went through quite an. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was pretty brutal, and but yet thankful, extremely thankful. In fact, Bob called me one day. I had just come back from the doctor's office, and he just knew. Bob had this incredible intuitive factor that was well developed, and he called me one afternoon and he said, "What are you doing?" And I had just come back from the doctor's office and I was laying down. I was just feeling a little overwhelmed from what I had heard, because I had tumors all over and it was pretty serious. And I told him, and he's like, "Where are you right now?" And I said, "Well, I'm in my room. I'm laying down." He goes, "Get up right now, get in your office and write this down." And he gave me an affirmation to write and to read and to believe. And I knew that. I mean, Bob, it was a point where it's not that he wasn't telling me anything new. I knew what I needed to do, but he was just encouraging me to get better at it and really focus on perfect health. And you're in a healthy body, and every cell in your body vibrates perfectly in perfect harmony and health and all of that. So even while I went through, I mean, the treatment almost killed me. It wasn't necessarily the cancer, it was the treatment that
Right.
almost
Yeah,
killed
the
me. I was
chemo.
hospitalized. I didn't eat for months. I had a tube coming out of my stomach that was feeding me, and other tubes coming out of my body that were hydrating me, and all of that. But all I did was I listened to Bob created a customized audio for me. I listened to my Power Life script every day, and I didn't accept that as my fate, nor did I accept it as who I am. I only saw myself as a healthy body. And it got to a point, I was laying in the hospital and my oncologist came to see me and she said, "Peggy, you really have to get back to doing the treatments." And I said, "I'm not doing anymore." I had done most of them, but I was like done. I said, "They are killing me." They were killing me. And my brother had died from cancer, and the treatments, I'm pretty sure, killed him too. And so she said, you need to get back at it. And I said, "Nope, I'm not doing it." And so she didn't really like that. Like, she was very
Of
sweet and very
course.
loving and very kind, And because she's a scientist, right? She's a healer. And so I got out of the hospital, and a couple months later, she sent me for the scan, to check to see if it's all, okay, or let's look at what do we need to do or whatever. And I went for the scan, and she called me the next day, and she said, I'm shocked. And I said, what? And she said, it's gone, all gone, completely
It's
gone.
gone.
There's not a trace of it anywhere. And that was 3 years ago, by the way. So when you had mentioned earlier, you look really good or you're really healthy. I mean, that was the most horrific experience that I've ever gone through. And, it is what it is. And I'm grateful for the experience, because it really invigorated me in some ways. It's like, oh, this isn't going to get me. I got way too much to do on this planet before I
Mm, not
start. And way too much to do. And so, I got excited, excited about what I was going to do. And, I'm pretty much a person who lives her life on purpose anyways, but it's, gives you a lot of clarity. And I think
Mm,
what it also does is it sort of inspires those around you, because, the family comes together and then they watch, they sort of observe you. And, people would ask me questions like, aren't you wondering why this happened to you? I said, no, it doesn't matter. Like, what's that going to serve? Is that going to serve me at all? No, absolutely not. Why did this happen to me? I didn't go to that place at all.
we
And,
don't need that.
right, absolutely. And so, yeah, we're all going to have the challenges in our life. You got to understand. I remember in like I think it was 98, I watched a video by a football coach. He was one of the most winningest coaches of all time. And he started this video with this statement. He said, if you don't have adversity in your life right now, get ready, because it's coming. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a motivational video. What kind of a message is that? But it's the
Yeah, wake
truth.
up call.
Yeah, it's the truth. You're going to have challenges. It's just the way it is. Now, you can allow them to strengthen you, or you can allow them to knock you right down. But, I just choose to look at them and give thanks, for the moment. I'm not like expecting them or looking to attract more of them into my life, and just moving past them, and going to the scenario in my consciousness of what I desire to be. And in that particular case, perfect health was all I
Yeah.
saw. That's all I chose to experience in my mind, regardless of what was happening to my physical body at the time.
Well, I didn't know about this particular, episode or chapter. I'm glad it's behind you. But
Mm.
first of all, thanks so much for sharing it. It's really a lesson. But Bob also, this is another, of his teaching. Say you take care of your mind, because the body is a function of the mind. So take care
Yes.
of your mind and let the doctors take care of the body. So it's none
Yes.
of your business. Let them take care of the body, but you take care of the mind. And this stayed with me for forever. I mean, because we're never brought up to think like this. Well, we
True.
are way. I think I kept you way longer than expected, Peggy. Thank you so much for your precious time.
Love
Thank you
it.
for these extremely, invaluable insights. To recap, we talked about the legacy of Bob Proctor and what we learned from his teaching, to help us, think about how we can improve things, whether it's a career or leadership position, and how to think about it differently. Because most of the time when people come and they are they repeat this word, I'm stuck, I don't know how to move. And actually it's the way you are thinking about it that is making you kept in that space or holding you back in that space. When we start thinking about it under a different light, with the knowing of these principles, simple principles that Peggy and I have been talking about. You can go back and review the session. It's such a beautiful session with a lot of takeaways in there. Arij Afghani says, thank you for this invaluable. I'm going to put it on the screen. Arij, thank you so much. Thank you for this valuable experience. Appreciated. Unfortunately, due to an emergency, I will leave. Thank you so much for your feedback, Ya Arij. I loved it. Rina says, a great way to celebrate the legendary Bob Proctor. Thank you for the hidden gems and the inspiring insights to take through our journey. Let me put her on. This is beautiful, Rina. Uh, yeah, and the inspiring insights to take through our journey. I love your feedback, ladies. Keep going, keep
I love it
keep
too.
going
It's
after those
great.
big amazing goals. Final thoughts, Peggy.
Oh my goodness, this is so
What
great. I love
would
it.
you want to say as a
I
final thought?
think it's important. There's so much valuable information out there as well. Like one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself is stay in the study. Like just stay in the study. Don't let a day go by where you're not investing some time in really studying success, which means you're studying yourself. And of course, where the value comes is in the application as well. So keep studying and apply what you're learning, and that's where real transformation occurs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Knowing is amazing. Doing, implementing is the name of the game. The universe loves the speed. So, whatever takeaways you've taken from this session, go ahead and take notes, go back, revise, take notes. Peggy shared with us absolutely incredible gems. I myself, I'm going to review the session and watch it over and over. What a great session! As we take this last, so to speak, lap in 2024 and ease our way into a beautiful, rewarding 2025 for everybody. So, time to reset the counter with new goals, a new vision, a new self image, a new power. What did you say,
Power Life
Peggy? Power
Script.
Life script.
Yes.
On Peggy's website, you get the script. Do they get a template or
Yeah,
a sample?
they can, well, they can get the free app if they have an iPhone. Just go to Power Life Script in the App Store or go to my website. We do have it as a program. It's only $97, but it's the one thing that's made the biggest difference in all of my results and has contributed to everything that I've accomplished. So it
The
is
power,
worth that. Yeah, Power Life
yeah,
Script.
of
You can find it. There's also some freebies on my site too. Lots of free gifts that we give away, books, ebooks. So lots of good stuff.
absolutely the shortest and fastest way to find all of these goodies is to go to Peggy McColl on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. From there, you get all the links to her books and her courses and everything else. Peggy McColl, lots of love.
You
Thank
too.
you so much for your generosity in coming on my show, The Quantum Leadership Hacks. We've had lots of hacks today. Ladies, wasn't that a treat? Thank you very much. And I'll see you next week. Everybody else, I'll see you next week for our quantum leadership hacks. And good night, everyone, and have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.